So today basically marks day 28 of me climbing every single day in a row, and I would like to just simply explain what happened within those 28 days. Did I get better? Did I get worse? Did I get injured? Did I get not injured? Let's jump into it. It all started on September 17th when I went to Devil's Lake for a week to boulder. And it's funny because on that trip that I went on, I had planned for there to be rest days. It was supposed to be Sunday climb, Monday climb, Tuesday rest. But then Tuesday came and I got really bored. And I couldn't do anything over there, and I was by myself all alone. So I was like, I'll just go talk to some rocks and touch them for a little bit. Ended up climbing. And then something weird happened, right? Because when I was touching the rock, I was like, man, it's the man, I am about tired as ever. But then, as you keep touching the rock, approximately 60 minutes later, you start to feel pretty adequate, and then you can start climbing on it as if per usual. And just like that, I climbed for 7 days straight. And then I came back home, and then I was like, man, I can't take a break because I was so sick and tired of touching real rock that I totally missed the taste and the texture and the feel of plastic. So I got home, slept, and then I woke up without a rest in between, and then I went climbing on the plastic the very next day. But then on my trip at Devil's Lake, I realized I was lacking a bit of stamina. Therefore, I wanted to implement some new form of training into my training regimen. So here's how it went. On the first day of climbing on my day back from my trip, it was going to be a stamina day. On a stamina day, I would do really long boulder projects that would take me quite a while to do. Now, the plan and the methodology behind doing one long boulder as instead to something like a 4x4 is that I was on the boulder the whole time. Therefore, I would get that nervousness of, am I going to send it? Am I not going to send it? And I also get that waiting period of about 10 minutes of rest while I'm looking at the boulder, contemplating life, not trying to psych myself out. And therefore, that way, I think it's a little bit more applicable to outdoor bouldering in terms of the long boulders. Now, after that stamina day, I had campusing, because for me, I do believe that my abilities to go up using just my arms is not enough. Therefore, I decided to implement just a arm physically campusing type day on easier boulders for me. And for me personally, it is a bit of a PTSD because previously I was injured in my elbows due to campusing when I was a little bit younger, doing a little bit not exactly the smartest way. So this time, using my big brain prowess and my mistake in the past in order to be better today, I implemented it in a way that would make it not so dangerous for me this time. And I made it a little bit more systematic, made it a little bit more sets and reps as opposed to just going balls to the wall. And doing it that way, I did manage to improve on my campusing abilities. And I did learn that when it comes to campusing, there's a bit of a technique to it and a bit of a tempo that you really have to get down if you want to get it right. And then after that, max bouldering on replicas. Now, for you guys that don't know, I've been training to do this one boulder called Humpty Humpty 10. It is my white whale. It is my holy grail. It is the thing that keeps the heart in my chest beating. Meaning, these replicas were meant to prepare my body for the movement of the actual boulder outside. Because in Minnesota, bouldering season, aka climbing season, is coming upon us. The weather is getting really good. After that session came an active recovery day where I basically just went to the gym, climbed particularly easy for an hour, and then I called it a day, which was a very sad day for me because just only climbing for an hour is a little bit too low, especially on easier climbs like V2, V3s. Now I basically went and repeated that cycle approximately 3 times before the weather stopped raining and I had the opportunity to go outside and try Humpty Hump. And you want to know what happened? I knew I wasn't going to get Humpty Hump that day, which was totally fine for me. I just didn't get familiar with the moves. But then midway climbing through Humpty Hump, something immediately happened. I realized I was unusually, exceptionally weak. Oh. It felt like I haven't already dropped 11 plus sessions on this boulder. Ultimately, I concluded that I got complacent with my training. I let my past achievements live longer than they should have. Last month's efforts done today won't yield tomorrow's progress. I got too goddamn complacent. And so I was just mad at myself, right? I forgot how to try hard. I forgot the nervousness that comes within the soul when time is running out and you only have one more goal to send the rock. Oh, I totally forgot. I forgot. So the new training plan, which was to be enacted the very next day, was still no rest day, was to be a plan about trying hard. So what better way to climb hard in a safe control environment with a large safe fall zone and an emphasis on fingers than the notorious moon board. Now, I've climbed on boards before and I've climbed on the moon board before, but this time I was gonna put some pressure on myself. I was going to act like each climb was Humpty Hump. If I couldn't do this easy moon board problem, then there's no way I could do Humpty Hump, because Humpty Hump is 10,000 times harder in my head. I just climbed the board with all my heart and soul, trying as hard as I possibly could, trying to break my tendons. Here, let me just demonstrate one of my rituals I did before I climbed. Right, and a lot of people do a lot of things, but here's one of the things I like to do. I like to pretend I got my chalk bag, right? I chalk up, right? I chalk up, toss the bag on the ground, and then I always like the stance with the left foot down, the right foot kind of straight, and I'll shake my hand, but then when I shake it, I like to shake and lean down like this, and then I'll switch, and then I'll shake and I'll lean down like this, and then I'll switch, and I'll shake and I'll lean down like this, and then I'll look at the problem, which is you right now, right? I'll tense my arms, making sure my biceps, my lats, everything is working. I'll crank my neck real hard, maybe crack my fingers a little bit. One last final flex. Come up to the boulder. And then once I get my hose, you know how it goes. So I moonboarded for like 2 to 3 hours. And then after 3 to 4 days, I went back outside, got a Humpty Hump, and oh, I did so much better than before. I could finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. Still haven't quite gotten there, but keep a steady eye on the horizon. And so it's been about 28 days, and I just got done moonboarding today since I've been climbing every single day. And now, of course, I didn't include 100% of my training, just the main bullet points. Now let's talk about my health. Well, I did get sick for like a week, which normally never happens, but I would say I was climbing every single day and I was breathing in that good white stuff. So may have that thing had a bit to do with me feeling a little bit coughish, because I did acquire quite a bit of a sore throat for like a week, but it didn't hurt me in terms of physicality, in terms of performance. It's more like an annoyance in terms of the way I was breathing and the way I felt, but physically speaking, I was performing just fine. My fingers were totally fine until I started moonboarding, and I will not lie, after each moonboard session, my fingers were totally wrecked. They were stiff and I could hardly grab the air while my skin hurting, but after about 24 hours of recovery, my fingers were totally adequate and I could climb just pretty much well the next day. And in terms of a statistical standpoint, if I was to say I moonboarded for say 6 sessions, on the 4th session, that was the only session where I feel particularly weak, where I had to stop moonboarding about halfway. And in that case, I just went to the TB2 at 50 degrees. I just did some easier stuff on that. I would like to mention that my elbows have never felt so strong in the past. When I climbed for a particularly long time on particularly hard routes, my elbows would start to flare up, but for some odd reason this time, even though I've been climbing every single day a lot more than I used to and probably harder than what I used to, my elbows have been exceptionally thrilled and happy. They've never been so lubricated a day in their life. They are like, Now, of course, I'm obviously not telling everybody to climb every single day like me. This is just me being me, because I like climbing. Therefore, I like climbing, something I want to do every single day. It's pretty simple as like that, right? But then the way I see it is also like this. The more that time passes, it still slightly astonishes me that I still like climbing even more than previously. Yeah. So why wouldn't I want to do it every single day? And I'm sure I'll eventually have a rest day eventually, but currently I feel no need for it, nor any desire for it to occur upon me. And in fact, I do get extremely restless on rest days. I'm sure you know exactly what I mean. And anyways, I did leave out quite a ton of training details and other bunch of stuff that I did, but that's basically the gist of it. Because after 28 days of climbing, I realized I need to try a little bit harder. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time, partner.